Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. You are
Today you have two resource persons.
payment will get only one.
Yes, she's joining. So two resource person will take today's collective session.
Oh, so
So
nice.
I hope it's going to be a great one.
Yeah. So waiting for a few more minutes.
Sure, sir, sure.
So, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good afternoon, all the participants. And good afternoon to both the resource persons.
It's our privilege.
So it's our privilege also that the online session is being conducted by two eminent resource persons. Today's topic on this say, remarkable Pi Day Einstein's birthday is library as a resource. So we are looking forward for the session and are hopeful that, of course, the session will again be say the live presenting session. So I welcome all the participants on behalf of Aryavata Sahodaya School Complex uh, and our resource persons, and requesting you to please start the session.
Good evening, all of you. A very, very good evening from on behalf of Rama ma'am and me. And actually, dear friends, today my laptop is not working properly. So Rama ma'am has been a rescue therapy for me, and I'm using her laptop and her ID today. So a friend in need is a friend indeed. This proverb has been proven true again today. And I'm so delighted to share this beautiful topic with you all. Although, let me tell you in the beginning of the session that this is a very vast topic. You know, it can be a very easily, this topic can be dealt in 5 days if it's an offline session. So in an online session, we'll try to compile it into a 1 hour session. But in case you are interested and you want to do something more, you want to learn something more on this topic, then I hope Aryavat Sahodaya will always be ready for an offline session, because this is a real challenging topic and it's a wonderful topic for the development of reading habits, writing skills of students, and even spoken skills, to be very frank. So let us dive into the topic without wasting any time, and allow me to share my screen. Yes, fine. So this is the topic for the day. I'll just try to close these pop-ups on the screen so that the screen is better visible to all of you. Okay, I think it's better now. Now, I'll go into the slideshow view. Okay. So today our topic is library, an asset for research and learning. Normally you will see that whenever we come across a school library, we see many chairs, a big table, and children are sitting in silence, complete silence, and they are reading. Now, to be very frank, I would put reading in quotation marks, because how much they are reading, you also know and we also know. Are they really reading, or they just kept a book in front of them and they're trying to show that they are reading? It's real reading or it's fake learning. That is always going to be a topic of discussion and debate. But is library only a reading room? Can we utilize the library for developing better reading habits, for making the children do some research work, for making the children do some activities? So, you know, the very first thing I would suggest to you is, my dear educators, tomorrow when you go to your school and when you enter the library, you please remove those sheets from there. Silence, please, keep quiet. That has to be removed and thrown away into the dustbins, because gone are those days when library only used to be a reading room. So library comprises of a reading room, that's very true, but the entire library is not a reading room. Let me make it very clear. And this is, you know, whatever I'm going to discuss today, this is not my research or my teaching. Please understand that all this has been taken from the library manual of CBSE. In fact, there's a manual which has been brought about by CBSE. The title is Library and Asset for Research and Learning. And I've taken all my contents from there. So first, let's try to understand what is the meaning of the word library. Library is a tradition, isn't it? Library means meaning. Library means books. Library means digital data. Library means manuscripts. Library means culture. Library means heritage. And so on. Many more to be added to this list. So only saying that library is a reading place, I think it is, you know, we are just lowering the potential of the word library. When we say library, please understand कि हमारे देश की, विदेश की, पूरी दुनिया का culture उसमें है. पूरे दुनिया का हेरिटेज है उसमें, पूरे दुनिया का ट्रेडिशन है उस बुक में, उस एक रूम में कितनी ऐसी बुक्स हैं जिसमें आपको ट्रेडिशंस ऑफ डिफरेंट कंट्रीज, डिफरेंट ट्राइब्स, डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड मिलेगा, कितनी चीजों की मीनिंग मिलेगी, कितना हेरिटेज वर्क मिलेगा, कितना इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगा, सब चीजों का समन्वय लाइब्रेरी है. लाइब्रेरी इज अ रिसोर्स सेंटर फॉर इंफॉर्मेशन. Library is a center for recreation and inspiration. But above all, library is a center of research. Now, research वर्ड सुनते ही हमारे दिमाग में आता है कि मैम हमारे बच्चे 1 से 10 है, 11 है, 12, ये क्या रिसर्च करेंगे? रिसर्च तो पीएचडी वाले करते हैं. लेकिन ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, आपके छोटे छोटे बच्चे भी रिसर्च कर सकते हैं. एंड इन फैक्ट साइंटिफिक एप्टीट्यूड डेवलप करने के लिए लाइब्रेरी इज द बेस्ट प्लेस वेयर यू कैन प्रोमोट रिसर्च so that the children develop scientific aptitude. In your library, you don't have only books, you have journals, you have magazines, you should have articles, you should have bibliographies, so that children get an exposure to a lot of good content. Only having a few books is not enough. Next is library is essential for developing literacy, for formal education, for information provision. But I think to top it up, library is very important for economic, social, and cultural development of students. Literacy you can understand because they will learn how to read, they will learn how to speak. फॉर्मल एजुकेशन मीन्स लाइब्रेरी का एक पीरियड है हमारे क्लास 6 में, 7 में, 8 में, 9 में, मेरे बच्चे जाते हैं, रीड करते हैं, रेफरेंस करते हैं, वापस आते हैं. इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोविजन, आई थिंक इट्स वेरी क्लियर, चिल्ड्रन कैन गेट एज मच इंफॉर्मेशन दे वांट फ्रॉम द लाइब्रेरी. लेकिन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो है वो इकोनॉमिक, सोशल एंड कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट. ये कैसे लाइब्रेरी में हो रहा है? तो लाइब्रेरी में जो हमारी वैरायटी ऑफ बुक्स है, जर्नल्स है, मैगजीन्स है, ई जर्नल्स है, डिजिटल बुक्स है, वहां से बच्चों को किसी भी जगह के कल्चर के बारे में, किसी भी जगह के सोशियो इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस के बारे में, किसी भी जगह के डेवलपमेंट के बारे में पता चल सकता है. देयरफॉर लाइब्रेरी टीचर्स अस दिस आल्सो. नाउ लेट्स कम टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ इट. What are the major objectives of a library? Let us understand this. Agar aap ye samajh jayenge, then you will be very easily able to understand that what all things we can do in the library. So first thing we should understand is the objective of library is not to do reading. The objective of the library is to participate in the teaching learning program of the school. Yani, for example, मैं आपको एक बात बताऊं. For example, class 5 teacher is teaching EVS water. Of water, many things can be taught. Maybe the teacher is teaching water cycle, maybe the teacher is teaching condensation, evaporation, etc., etc., etc. Water bodies के बारे में, map में find करना where is water, everything the teacher is teaching. Now, library can contribute to it a lot. How? Maybe the teacher can tell that, see, related to water, these are the 5 books available in the library. Now, next day when you go to the library period, when you have a library period and you go there, please remember to refer these 5 books and know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more things about water. Teacher can give 5 questions जिसका जवाब उन 5 books में मिल सकता है. So for that, what the teacher has to do? For that, the teacher should know कि water से related 5 कौन सी किताब मेरी लाइब्रेरी में है. अमूमन आपके स्कूल में क्या होता है फ्रेंड्स? आपके स्कूल में होता ये है कि लाइब्रेरी टीचर को बिल्कुल नहीं पता है कि पूरे स्कूल में 21 क्लास में कौन सा सिलेबस चल रहा है, और स्कूल के टीचर्स को ये नहीं पता है कि लाइब्रेरी में कौन सी बुक्स हैं मेरे सिलेबस से रिलेटेड. तो टीचर कभी बच्चे को गाइड ही नहीं करता है कि बेटा तुम अगली बार जब लाइब्रेरी में जाओगे ना तो ये किताबें पढ़ना, ये तुम्हारे इस चैप्टर से रिलेटेड है, ये तुम्हारे इस चैप्टर से रिलेटेड है, ये तुम्हारे इस चैप्टर से रिलेटेड है. दैट मीन्स इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द सेशन, ये जब इस समय आपका आ रहा है, every teacher should do a mapping of the books in the library as per the syllabus given. हमारे सिलेबस में ये 5 चैप्टर्स हैं फर्स्ट टर्म में. इन 5 चैप्टर से रिलेटेड कौन कौन सी किताबें हैं लाइब्रेरी में, आपको सबसे पहले ये मैपिंग करनी चाहिए. As a subject teacher you should do, and as a library teacher also, librarian should also do. It should be a mutual work. Then you should tell your students while you're teaching any chapter which book to go and refer. So that means library means participation in the teaching learning program of the school. Next, it provides students with appropriate library materials, printed also, visual also. You can have a projector and a screen in your library. You can show so many good movies in the library, so many good things in the library. Next, library develops reading ability, interest, love, pleasure for reading among the students. How to do that? वो नहीं हो सकता. अगर आप बच्चे को कहेंगे किताब निकालो पढ़ो, प्लेजर एंड लव फॉर रीडिंग कभी नहीं डेवलप होगा. दिस कैन ओनली बी डेवलप थ्रू अ फ्यू एक्टिविटीज व्हिच आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस इन द लेटर पार्ट ऑफ द सेशन. Library teaches the students to be skillful. What kind of skill? Library, you'll be amazed to know that library can teach children reasoning, logic, drawing, art, spoken. All the skills can be taught in the library. We will discuss some activities later on. And of course, library provides opportunities for experiences in creating and using data for knowledge. मान लीजिए मैंने किताब पढ़ी, मुझे उसमें कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन मिला, वो मेरे लिए डेटा है, उस डेटा को मैं अपने क्लासरूम में कैसे यूज कर सकती हूँ या सकता हूँ, उस डेटा को मैं अपने नॉलेज में कैसे ले जा सकता हूँ, उस डेटा को मैं क्लासरूम कंटेंट के साथ कैसे एक्सट्रापोलेट कर सकता हूँ. दिस इज द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ लाइब्रेरी. ओके, नाउ नेक्स्ट इज, it supports students in the learning process. Definitely it stimulates and guides students. बच्चे लाइब्रेरी की कलरफुल बुक्स देखकर, लाइब्रेरी की दुनिया देखकर, लाइब्रेरी का कंटेंट देखकर उनके मन में ख्वाहिश जगनी चाहिए, अरे वो किताब पढ़ो, अरे ये किताब पढ़ो, इस मैगजीन को देखो, अच्छा ऐसा भी होता है. And definitely library should be used as a consultation program for developing effective teaching habits or for using resources. In fact, हमारे, you don't feel bad please, in fact most of our teachers also don't know how to maximum utility of the library, how to bring about maximum utility of the library. हम लाइब्रेरी में टीचर्स को कितनी बार जाने को देखते हैं? सिर्फ साल के शुरू में जब उनको अपने कोर्स बुक्स इश्यू करने होते हैं, साल के अंत में जब रिटर्न करना होता है. If a school principal prepares a chart how many times which teacher has gone into the library and which books the teacher has read which are not the content book, then you will find out that how interested even our teachers are in reading. So with this we cannot develop interest in students, we have to work for that very very hard. Okay, now I will be skipping a few slides, friends. Please don't mind because I've told you in the beginning that this is a very, very big content. Okay. So I think you will be more impressed by the facilities. So, and the activities of library. So improving student skills. How can library improve student skills? Number one, the first skill is reading habit. Teachers, I have done a few sessions with you for developing reading habits also. I have told you there itself that if as a teacher you're not able to promote reading habit in your students, please understand your work is not done, your work is not complete, you have not given your best. Until and unless your child learns how to read on his own or her own, the child will never improve. So this is very very important. So now library develops reading habits in the children by the use of reference books, by easy access of library books, by intensive reading, extensive reading, whatever. Okay. Now next is, there are two types of library. One is a library, which we all know, which we all are talking about. But you can bring a small library into your classroom also. And that is known as a classroom library. Like, for example, what I practice in my school is I'm going to share with you. I don't send my class 1 and 2 kids to the big library because when they will go to the big library, they will get lost. What to do, what to read, कहाँ से मिलेगा, कैसे पढ़ूं, and formalities में वो reading का passion खत्म हो जाए. So what I do is I bring some age relevant book and dump them in their classroom in a decorative way. And then what I tell is the teachers that you will issue books, you will collect books, you will allow them to read books in the class in the library period. Now my child can figure out some good books from that small cozy corner of the classroom. Now my child doesn't get lost in a big library and my child knows that अच्छा इतनी ही किताबें हैं, इसमें से मुझे एक किताब चूज करनी है, पढ़नी है, और वो चूंकि एज अप्रोप्रिएट बुक्स हैं तो बच्चा कोई भी बुक पिकअप करेगा, उसको फायदा होगा. So there's a class library concept which you can use and it works very well. Next, some other programs that you can do in the library is, this is for the librarians and for the subject teachers as well. If you ask your children these days, what do you want to become? बड़े होकर क्या बनोगे बेटा? तो आपको लगता है कि कोई भी बच्चा आपको ये कहेगा कि मैं बड़ा होकर राइटर बनना चाहता हूँ? 99% of the kids will not say that. They will either say मैं बड़ा होकर डॉक्टर बनूंगा, इंजीनियर बनूंगा, फैशन डिजाइनर बनूंगा, लेकिन किताब लिखूंगा ये बहुत लोग नहीं कहते. क्यों? क्योंकि हम लोगों ने कभी भी राइटिंग को एज अ प्रोफेशन शोकेस ही नहीं किया बच्चों के सामने. हमारे बच्चे हमेशा यही समझते हैं कि हमें तो साइंटिस्ट बनना है, हमें तो इंजीनियर बनना है, हमें तो डॉक्टर बनना है। लेकिन किसी के माँ बाप ये नहीं कहते, या किसी का टीचर भी ये नहीं समझाता, ये लाइब्रेरियन भी ये नहीं समझाती कि बेटा किताब लिखना भी एक प्रोफेशन है। यू कैन बिकम एन ऑथर व्हेन यू ग्रो अप, यू कैन बिकम अ राइटर, यू कैन बिकम अ पोएट व्हेन यू ग्रो अप. So the very first thing is that you please inculcate that passion in the child, that you have to, you can, if you wish to, you can become an author. And becoming an author is also something very, very respectable as well as lucrative. क्योंकि आजकल के बच्चे को जब तक आप ये नहीं बताओगे कि इसके अर्निंग कितनी होने वाली है, वो उस जॉब की तरफ इंटरेस्टेड नहीं होंगे. Now, so in the library, you can sometimes do a program known as Meet the Author. Now, what is the meaning of Meet the Author? आप जिस भी शहर में रहते हो, कोई ना कोई बुक लिखने वाला तो होगा ही वहां. अगर आपको कोई नहीं मिलता है ना, तो आप उस ऑथर पे एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री दिखा दो उसको. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैं दिस इज ऑल्सो फॉर द लैंग्वेज टीचर्स. For example, when you're teaching a poem in the class, the worst part that we discuss in the class is, about the author, about the poet. We just tell the name, forget. उस उस राइटर ने जिसने इतनी प्यारी सी स्टोरी लिखी या पोएम लिखा, जो भी लिखा, उससे आपके बच्चों को आपने मिलवाया ही नहीं, आपके बच्चों को उससे प्यार हुआ ही नहीं. ये बहुत 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 जरूरी है. So, sometimes, time to time, you should invite authors if available in your town. If not available, आप उनके ऊपर कुछ दिखाइए, उनके बारे में, उन्होंने कौन सी किताबें लिखी, हाईएस्ट सेल कितना हुआ, वो कितना कमाते हैं, उनकी एजुकेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन क्या है. सो दैट चिल्ड्रन डेवलप, उनके दिमाग में एक सोच हो, यार मैं तो बड़ा होकर राइटर भी बन सकता हूँ. ओके, नेक्स्ट. Sometimes, library is not only one subject reading. Library encompasses so many subjects. So you can sometimes conduct science symposium also in the library. You conduct some science activities और उसके उसके बारे में बताइए लाइब्रेरी में. The content part can be dealt in the library. ठीक है, science teachers are doing their work, but what about the content? What about how to present the experiment? What about how to talk about the experiment? That you can do in the library itself. Next, remember, next time when you give your holiday projects, summer vacation projects आप बहुत जल्दी बनाओगे. So next time when you make a holiday project, please remember this. आप कुछ questions, कुछ चीजें ऐसी डालिए उसमें जिसका रिप्लाई आपके लाइब्रेरी के बुक से मिल सके. एंड समर वेकेशन में भी आपकी लाइब्रेरी तो खुली रहती होगी. सो यू कैन ऑलवेज टेल द चिल्ड्रन, ऑफिस भी खुला रहता है, दैट यू कैन कम बिटवीन दिस टाइम टू दिस टाइम, ऑफ कोर्स ऑन योर ओन, एंड यू कैन रेफर द लाइब्रेरी एंड कंप्लीट योर प्रोजेक्ट वर्क्स. इससे क्या होगा? दिस इज फोर्स्ड ऑफ कोर्स, लेकिन इससे बच्चों के अंदर रीडिंग हैबिट डेवलप होगा. दे विल गो एंड रेफर, दे विल गो एंड रीड. ओके, नेक्स्ट. नेक्स्ट इज कंडक्ट बुक फेयर्स. कंडक्ट बुक फेयर्स. अभी हमारे, आप देख रहे होंगे हमारे शहर में, पटना में जहां मैं रहती हूँ, देयर आर सो मेनी, वन मॉल केम अप फर्स्ट, देन सो मेनी मॉल्स वर बिल्ड अप. और सारे मॉल्स में लोग जाते हैं, सारे मॉल्स में भीड़ होती है. क्यों? क्योंकि उन्होंने मॉल का एक कल्चर डेवलप किया पटना में. सिमिलरली इन योर स्कूल यू शुड डेवलप अ कल्चर ऑफ बुक फेयर्स. जब आप चाहते हैं बच्चे किताब पढ़े, तो उनके चारों तरफ किताबें होनी चाहिए ना. और वो किताब नहीं जो वो बैग में रखते हैं, अपने स्कूल बैग में, वो किताबें जो उनको प्रेरित करें, वो किताबें जो उनके लिए इंस्पिरेशन हो, वो किताबें जो कलरफुल हो, वो किताबें जिसमें फैंटेसी हो, वो किताबें जिसमें साइंस हो, वो किताबें जिसमें हॉरर हो, whatever the child is fascinated about, वो सारी किताबें उसके चारों तरफ लगी होनी चाहिए. So it's a work of a school to keep on conducting book fairs as and when possible. ठीक है? Now, next is Children's Book Week. Celebrate book weeks. You celebrate birthday, you celebrate Mother's Day, you celebrate Father's Day, you celebrate Durga Puja, Diwali, Chhat. What about a book week? So, suppose Monday to Friday is a book week. So, in this book week, we can talk about so many books. We can dress up children like books and present them in class, every class. Maybe a Little Red Riding Hood can go to class 1 and talk about Little Red Riding Hood story. Maybe David Copperfield. Somebody can dress up like David Copperfield, and that person can go to any class and talk about David Copperfield. At least बच्चे जानेंगे तो अच्छा, इतना इंटरेस्टिंग कैरेक्टर है, मुझे भी ये बुक पढ़नी है. So you have to just trigger the interest of the children. Follow by following this kind of activities. Next, book donation drive. Some books are something very precious. अगर मेरा बच्चा 5 से 6 में चला गया, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि 5 के बुक्स यूजलेस हो गए, उसके लिए हो सकता है, वैसे तो उसके लिए भी नहीं है, लेकिन अगर उसको लगता है उसके लिए है, लेकिन पूरी दुनिया के लिए तो बुक यूजलेस नहीं है. सो टीच चिल्ड्रन दैट बुक्स आर वेरी प्रेशियस. बुक्स नेवर बिकम आउट ऑफ डेट. फैशन आउट ऑफ डेट हो सकता है, आपका हेयर स्टाइल आउट ऑफ डेट हो सकता है.
On birthdays we take
Books. Very good. So ma'am is sharing a very good idea that on the birthday of the children, she asked the child to donate a book. Maybe ma'am can share something more on that. How do you do it?
Actually, students come with chocolates and sweets. So what we do, we tell the students that if we take the chocolate will be finished. But if you donate a good book to the library, the book for years will motivate the students.
Very
So the students have started donating books in the library.
Very
They're
good.
doing it.
Very good. That's a brilliant idea. And you can ask the children that don't throw away any book. Suppose a book is torn, give it to us, we'll repair it. If a book, you're not using that book, give it to us. And then, maybe time to time you can organize book donation drives in your school. You can go to a nearby orphanage. You can go to places where children are not able to get books and they're not able to read. So please donate. So, बच्चों को, in a nutshell, what I think we are trying to do is, in a nutshell, we are trying to develop the love for books. We are trying to tell children that books are very valuable. They are very precious. वो एक साल इंग्लिश की बुक पढ़ के फेंकने के लिए नहीं होती है. वो एक इंग्लिश की बुक बहुत generations को इंग्लिश समझा सकती है. So it is that important. It is that precious. Okay. Next is form a book club. You must be having club activities in your school. Heritage club, eco club, science club, falana club. You have a book club. बुक क्लब में क्या कर सकते हैं? बुक क्लब में आप ढेरों एक्टिविटीज कर सकते हैं. बुक क्लब में आप रीडिंग कर सकते हैं. बुक क्लब में आप अच्छी अच्छी लाइब्रेरी घुमाने ले जा सकते हैं. हम लोग अपने बच्चे को पटना में जो अच्छी लाइब्रेरीज है वहां घुमाने ले गए, उनको दिखाया लाइब्रेरीज को, उस लाइब्रेरी में क्या है ये बताया, उस लाइब्रेरी की हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी बताई. सो चिल्ड्रन स्टार्टेड डेवलपिंग एन इंटरेस्ट फॉर बुक्स. So you can have a book club and you can do so many activities in that book club. Next, there are some more suggested library activities. अब लाइब्रेरी में ये सारा काम आप कर सकते हैं. अब आपका लाइब्रेरी पीरियड है किसी बच्चे का, तो उस समय लाइब्रेरियन या तो जो सब्जेक्ट टीचर है, what can both of them together do in the library? Number one is storytelling sessions. For example, I and Rama ma'am, both of us are here. Now I say a word, suppose I say a word chocolate. Then Nama ma'am would say a sentence on chocolate. Now she will say whatever you want to say. Yes, Nama ma'am, any sentence on chocolates?
Chocolates are my weakness.
Okay.
I cannot help but to have.
So Rama ma'am is saying chocolate is my weakness. Now I again add on something to it. I love dark choco chocolates. Now again Rama ma'am will say something. Again I will say something. So in a class, where there are 40 children, if every child speaks one sentence, and then what you do is you make two children. What I do normally is I tell two children to sit. Whatever their friends are saying, they will do the writing part. नोट याद है आपको, मैंने जब मल्टीपल इंटेलिजेंस पढ़ाया था आपको मैंने बताया था रीड राइट बच्चे होते हैं. तो ये रीड राइट इंटेलिजेंट बच्चे होते हैं, उनको आप अलग कर लो. जिनकी राइटिंग अच्छी है, जो अच्छा लिखते हैं, जिनकी स्पेलिंग ठीक है, और उनको बोलो बेटा आपके फ्रेंड्स जो बोल रहे हैं गो ऑन राइटिंग इन. सो चॉकलेट से रिलेटेड कुछ सबने बोला, एंड देन यू हैव टू फाइनली जो सब नोट डाउन हुआ, दैट विल बी अ स्मॉल स्टोरी ऑन चॉकलेट्स. Somebody can say first chocolate was discovered, invented, this chocolate is made by this company, these are the best companies of chocolate, वगैरह वगैरह कुछ भी, and then you weave a tale like this. Are you understanding? So storytelling sessions. Now you can do something else also in this. I start a story. Once upon a time there was a king who had a beautiful queen. Now second person will add on, third person will add on, fourth person will add on, 40 children will add, and they will go on writing. उसके बाद क्या करेंगे हम लोग, सुंदर से उस पर कवर चढ़ाएंगे और लिखेंगे स्टोरी बाय द स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ 5A, पुट इट इन अ लाइब्रेरी इन द आर्काइव सेक्शन. ये आपकी लाइब्रेरी की किताब हो गई, स्टोरी बाय द स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ क्लास 6A. सी हाउ हैप्पी दे विल फील, ये हमारी क्लास की एक स्टोरी बुक है लाइब्रेरी में, और आप सबको बताओ, असेंबली में अनाउंस करो, सी दिस स्टोरी बुक हैज बीन, this story has been written by the students of 6A and now it is a part of our school library. Make children clap. बच्चों को मजा आएगा कि अच्छा मैं भी स्टोरी बोल सकता हूँ, मैं भी स्टोरी लिख सकता हूँ, मैं भी स्टोरी बना सकता हूँ. Next is, whenever a child reads a book, give a book review, blank book review to the child. और आप उस बच्चे से कहिए कि जब तुम वापस करोगे किताब, तुम बुक रिव्यू भर के लाना. और उन बुक रिव्यूज को फेंकिए मत. वो कैसी भी हो, उसकी इंग्लिश गलत हो, ग्रामर गलत हो, राइटिंग खराब हो, कोई बात नहीं. The child is at least attempted to write a book review. Now make some places in the library, put some drawstrings, and ask the librarian to staple those and keep it in the library for at least 10 days. फिर आप बदल दो, दूसरे का लगाओ, तीसरे का लगाओ, चौथे का लगाओ. Display the child's work in the library. Next, children should be encouraged to prepare colorful shelf guides. जैसे आप कल अपने स्कूल की लाइब्रेरी में जाना, आई एम श्योर माय डियर टीचर्स, आप खुद ही कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे कहाँ क्या है. हाँ, ऊपर में एक लेबल लगा हो सकता है, लेकिन इज दैट इनफ? मान लीजिए मैंने एक अलमारी के ऊपर लगा दिया रेफरेंस बुक्स. इज दैट इनफ? Reference books can be so wide, so much variety can be found there. So writing only reference book is not enough. You need to write what kind of reference book, shelf wise. Maybe you can make a guide. Red means this, blue means this, pink means this. Let children explore the library. जब एक क्लास को हम कहेंगे कि तुम एक शेल्फ गाइड बनाकर एक पेपर पे दो, तो कम से कम वो जाएगा ना हर कॉर्नर पे, देखेगा वहां कौन सी किताब है, उसके बारे में लिखेगा, तो at least the child will explore the library. Next, making class magazines. जैसे for example, you can tell the children, okay, these are the pointers for class magazine. क्या pointers हैं? 1, 2 recipes for your tiffin, lunch box. You have to give 1 tongue twister, 2 poems, 1 puzzle. Suppose this is your class guide. अब आप बच्चों को ग्रुप्स में बांट देंगे. ये ग्रुप पजल बनाएगा, ये ग्रुप टंग ट्विस्टर बनाएगा, ये ग्रुप रेसिपी बनाएगा, ये ग्रुप 5 न्यूज देगा, ये ग्रुप ये काम करेगा. And then you tell them to compile it and make a class magazine of 7A, and that class magazine to be kept in the library. Now, जब वो puzzles को खोजना होगा, तो he will read some book, he will refer some books in the library. That is what we want. Children should read books. Simple reading will never happen. You have to add reading to an activity. दोनों जब combine होगा, then बच्चे कुछ पढ़ेंगे, क्योंकि उनको लग रहा है ना मुझे देना एक पजल, अरे पजल खोजो, पजल खोजो, पजल खोजो. So they will read 5 books, they will refer 5 books. Next is a very interesting and a very in fashion thing, that is graphic novels. What is the meaning of graphic novels? For example, जैसे रमा मैम ने कहा कि chocolate is my weakness, और मैंने कहा आई लव कोको चॉकलेट्स. अब आप इन दोनों सेंटेंस के बारे में आप 1 मिनट के लिए आंखें अपनी बंद कर लीजिए और आप ये सोचिए कि आई लव चॉकलेट्स एंड आई लव कोको चॉकलेट्स, डार्क कोको चॉकलेट्स. इसका अगर आपको ड्राइंग बनाना हो तो आप कैसे बनाओगे? दिस इज नोन एज अ ग्राफिक नॉवल. इसका मतलब when the child is reading a book, he is recreating that book in the form of graphics, drawing. So what you can do is, maybe you can tell 5 children to read a story. You give them a story book. अब 5 बच्चे को आप खड़ा कर दीजिए, बेटा तुम इतना पढ़ो, फिर तुम इतना पढ़ो, फिर तुम इतना पढ़ो. और जो बाकी बच्चे बच गए आपके क्लास के, उनको बोलिए एक एक शीट दे दीजिए और बोलिए वो पढ़ रहा है, तुम इस पे ड्राइंग बनाओ. सो आप बच्चे का ड्राइंग भी इंप्रूव कर रहे हो, और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट इसमें क्या है, यू आर हेल्पिंग द चाइल्ड कॉम्प्रिहेंड. जैसे मान लीजिए ब्रह्मा मैम ने कहा आई लव चॉकलेट्स, तो आई लव चॉकलेट्स का मतलब समझ में आएगा, तब तो वो ड्रॉ करेगा आई लव चॉकलेट्स. तो व्हाट आर यू डूइंग? यू आर इंप्रूविंग द कॉम्प्रिहेंशन लेवल ऑफ द चाइल्ड, you are improving the understanding level of the child, you are developing the creativity of the child, you are developing critical thinking of the child. इतनी सारी चीजें आप डेवलप कर रहे हो बस एक लाइब्रेरी एक्टिविटी से. you are developing 21st century skills of the child. जो मैंने पहले कहा, in library skills are also developed. Next, you can ask children to make poems. For example, you tell the child, okay beta, you read these 2 pages. अब इसकी जो मीनिंग है, इसको एक 4 लाइन के पोएम के फॉर्म में लिख दो. English, Hindi, anything. You know, NEP is so much into multilingualism, so don't force them to do it only in English. You can ask them to write in any language. It will improve their listening skills, it will improve their reading skills, it will improve their spoken skills, it will improve their drawing skills, it will improve their 21st century skills. Done? All of you understood? Okay, let's proceed further. I hope I'm audible, visible, whatever. Okay. Now, I will drag this. Is it possible? Now, summer reading challenge. Very good. During summer vacations, when the children have some me time, personal time, you give them a reading challenge. Any kind of reading challenge. How many books have you read? Maybe you can give them a list of journals, a list of books, a list of e-content, and just put a small quiz when they come back after the summer break. How many of you have read? That could be their summer reading challenge. Then you can conduct panel discussions. You know what is panel discussion? एक किताब. For example, कौन सी किताब बताऊं आपको? Any book. For example, I read Emma. It's a beautiful story. ना एमा सबने पढ़ा, आपने क्लास में लाइब्रेरी में रीडिंग करा दी, सबने समझ लिया. अब आप एमा पे एक पैनल डिस्कशन करें. कम ऑन, टेल मी अबाउट द कैरेक्टर स्केच ऑफ एमा. एमा ने जो ये काम किया वो सही था या गलत? अब पूरे 5-5, 10-10 बच्चों के एक पैनल बना दीजिए, डिस्कशन हो रहा है, डिबेट हो रहा है उस पर. सोचिए कितना ब्यूटीफुल आपके लाइब्रेरी का माहौल होगा. फिर वो 10 बच्चे गए, दूसरा 10 बच्चा आया, सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ एमा पे डिस्कशन हो रहा है. वो 10 बच्चे गए, तीसरा 10 बच्चा आया, थर्ड चैप्टर ऑफ एमा पे एक पैनल डिस्कशन हो रहा है. बुक भी क्लियर हुआ, कॉन्सेप्ट भी क्लियर हुआ, स्पोकन स्किल्स इंप्रूव हुआ, थिंकिंग स्किल्स इंप्रूव हुआ. So much can be done in the library. What more English and Hindi and Sanskrit you need to learn? So much can be done in the library itself. Weave a tale. Weave matlab weave a tale. Tale means story. I start a line and you continue and add on and add on and add on and add on to this, and finally we have a beautiful story. Making bibliographies. ये तो आप समझ ही रहे होंगे कि आजकल we are doing so much of this kind of pirated work and all. So librarians should also teachers should teach children how to prepare bibliographies. Then of course personal reading time should also be there. I'm not saying that they completely scrap it off. Some reading time you should give in the library, maybe once in a while, but not always, because that way children don't read. And my favorite activity now I'm going to discuss with you, that is drop everything and read. Dear, it's known as dear. You know what you do? Once in a month, आप पहले से announce करते अपने स्कूल में that for example 18th March in the 5th period we are going to conduct dear activity. Now what is the meaning of dear? Dear means nobody in the school, until and unless it's an emergency, nobody in the school will do anything else except for reading. इंग्लिश की क्लास है वहां भी रीडिंग होगी, हिंदी की क्लास है वहां भी रीडिंग होगी, प्रिंसिपल भी उस समय रीड करेंगे बच्चों के साथ बैठ के, मेड्स, ड्राइवर, कंडक्टर, चपरासी, पियोन, जो आपके स्कूल में है कुछ ना कुछ वो पढ़ेंगे. यहाँ तो वंस इन अ वीक दिया हुआ है, लेकिन आप स्टार्ट करो, वंस इन अ मंथ से ही स्टार्ट करो. मेक डियर very very applicable, very much applicable in your school, because that is one time when everybody is reading. You know, sometimes the teacher can sit, English teachers can sit with the class and read something very interesting. और फिर तो बाकी तो आपका दिमाग है, आपने रीडिंग करने के बाद कुछ क्विजेस किया, कुछ क्वेश्चन आंसर्स किया, वो आपके ऊपर है. बट एटलीस्ट यू नो देयर शुड बी डियर एक्टिविटी कंडक्टेड इन द स्कूल वंस इन अ मंथ. मैं पर्सनली इस एक्टिविटी को घर तक एक्सट्रापोलेट करती हूँ. You know, when we have dear activity in the school and when my children became familiar with it after a few months, I told the children that you have to do dear at home. क्योंकि बच्चे आपके स्कूल से ज्यादा टाइम घर पे रहते हैं. अगर घर में रीडिंग करने का माहौल नहीं हो, घर में पढ़ाई का माहौल नहीं हो, घर में पढ़ाई का एटमॉस्फेयर नहीं हो, आप कितना भी हेल्प करें बच्चे को, कितना भी आप अच्छी अच्छी एक्टिविटीज कराएं, आपको 100% रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा. So now you tell your parents, one Sunday 15 minutes please do dear activity. Everybody should read. ठीक है, जिसको जो पढ़ना पढ़ो, आप फिल्मी मैगजीन भी पढ़ सकते हैं, I don't mind, but you should read. Reading is a culture. You have to develop the reading culture in your school. Like you develop a learning culture of the school, you have to develop a reading culture of your school. You have to develop a spoken culture of your school. That all comes under the learning umbrella. You have to develop expectation level for the students. You have to set aside rules for the children. You're understanding? So this is very, very important. Now, please remember that technology and library, they have to be integrated. In today's world, we cannot expect children to read each and every book. Like, for example, so many good books are coming up. Do you think children can buy everything? Do you think the school can buy everything? It is not possible. It is not possible for the school to buy every book, every good book that is coming across. Or it is not possible for the parents and the children also to buy. So what you have to do? You have to integrate technology with library. Your library should be well equipped with e-content. And e-content means formal learning content, informal learning content and professional learning content. Suppose आपके स्कूल का एक बच्चा है जो पामिस्ट बनना चाहता है, वो हस्तरेखा विशेषज्ञ बनना चाहता है, बन ही सकता है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। तो मान लीजिए वो बच्चा आया लाइब्रेरी में और आकर बोला कि सर मुझे ना पामिस्ट बनना है, इससे रिलेटेड कोई किताब दीजिए ना। हो सकता है आपकी लाइब्रेरी में नहीं हो, तो क्या आप बच्चे को रिफ्यूज कर दोगे? क्या आप कहेंगे नहीं मेरे पास कोई किताब नहीं? But you can always search for a e-content and give the child that e-content so that the child can develop that interest, can go ahead with that interest area of the child. So please remember the digital libraries are very very important in today's world. Digital library का बिल्कुल ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप वो स्कैनर से स्कैन बारकोड स्कैनर से स्कैन करके बुक इशू करते हो. I don't mean that. I mean the content in your library. आपके लाइब्रेरी में कंटेंट कितना है जिसको आप स्प्रेड अक्रॉस कर सकते हो. In fact, digital library is such a rich thing that you can set across, you can in fact diminish all boundaries of the library. और आप आराम से अपने डिजिटल कंटेंट को अपने पेरेंट तक भी ले जा सकते हैं. योर पेरेंट्स कैन बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द डिजिटल कंटेंट. आप पेरेंट्स को बोल सकते हैं कि सी नाउ दिस इज माय स्कूल जिसमें इतना डिजिटल कंटेंट है, मैं एक ये लिंक आपको शेयर कर रही हूँ, आप पढ़िए आपको जो इच्छा हो. So what are you doing? You're sharing your school library with the community, with the parents, maybe with the ex-students, alumni of your school, maybe with the students at home. So the richer your digital content is, the richer your digital library is, the more and more people can take advantage and read. You know, this is a very common trend in Patna now that I find so many libraries. Libraries have opened up and they're all private ones. So the good content of books they have, the good, even they have e-content, good collection of books they have, and people are going there and reading. So that culture has to develop. अगर आप अच्छी अच्छी कंटेंट, यूजफुल कंटेंट अपने पेरेंट्स को भेजेंगे तो वो जरूर पढ़ेंगे और धीरे धीरे उनका भी इंटरेस्ट डेवलप होगा पढ़ने में. और वो जब पढ़ना शुरू करेंगे तभी उनके बच्चे भी पढ़ेंगे, उसकी वैल्यू को समझेंगे. नहीं तो पेरेंट्स क्या करते हैं जनरली, अगर बच्चा स्टोरी बुक लेके पढ़ा बैठा हुआ है तो पेरेंट गुस्सा हो जाते हैं. पेरेंट कहते हैं क्या तुम स्टोरी बुक लेकर यहाँ बैठे हुए हो, स्टोरी बुक पढ़ने के लिए तुमको स्कूल भेजते हैं. Because they don't understand the value of reading a story book. So this is a very easy way through which you can send your messages to the parents as well. Okay, this was in detail. So just a minute, I'll come back to this part. Have you understood, teachers? Is this clear? Okay. So now let me come back to some part which I have missed and I did not discuss with you because of the haste. Okay. So so I think by far you all must have understood कि लाइब्रेरी सिर्फ बैठकर पढ़ने की जगह नहीं है. लाइब्रेरी एक ऐसा सेंटर है जहां मेरे बच्चे रिसर्च कर सकते हैं. नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू टेल यू सम रिसर्च एक्टिविटीज ऑफ लाइब्रेरी. नाउ इफ यू रिमेंबर, मैंने शुरू में आपको बताया था that in the beginning of the session you should do a mapping. How many books related to my subject, my topic is available in the library? And of course, where is it available? Now, one simple activity I remember which I had done, and it was a very good activity which I would like to share with you. What we did is, suppose there are 12 chapters to be taught in a subject in the session. 12 chapters are there. What we did is, one chapter we told the teacher not to teach. 11 chapters the teacher is teaching. One chapter I told the teacher that what you do is, this chapter you tell the children which books are available in the library. Now, when you have a science period or English period or a Hindi period, let the child go to the library. Okay, if the library is free, of course. The child will pick up those books which the teacher has already told the name, and now the child will find out information. Note it down. And after 3-4 classes, 3-4 periods are normally required to complete a chapter. So after 3 or 4 classes, whatever the child has written, entire group wise, you can even divide into groups. One group can do English, one group can do Hindi, one group can do maths, because normally library periods you have once in a week. So everybody is going to the library and doing their research work. So maybe after 3-4 days, you tell the children to come back to the class and you do a group presentation. Whatever they have learned in these 3-4-5 days. Amazingly, my dear friends, what we found you will not believe. That whatever was given in the book, the child was knowing much more than that when the child was delivering the presentation. Child surpassed the book because the child has got the knowledge from so many books. और वो उसका खुद का खोजा हुआ था, इसलिए the child will never forget also. So after the presentation, we realize that the child has learned much more on his or her own than what the teacher could deliver in the class. What is this? This is a classic example of research work in the school library. So please remember that the tendency of research can begin right from the primary classes. And if this tendency continues, if we relate it with reading, like intensive reading, extensive reading, this is a classic example of extensive reading where the child has referred 5 books and found out about a content. Extensive reading. So you are developing reading habit as well as research habit of the child. And please remember that your library has physical resources, your library has human resources, and your library also has digital resource now. So your library is actually a resource center. In many schools I've seen that they don't call it a library. They call it a resource center because there are so many types of resources. There are physical resources, human resources, digital resources in the library. But children are children. So please don't forget to motivate them with some good words, some certificates, some badges, something. Suppose a child is reading very well, story जो बच्चों ने बनाया बहुत अच्छा था, वीवर टेल बहुत अच्छा किया, graphic novel में किसी बच्चे ने बहुत अच्छा बनाया. Please remember to give a badge. You're the best reader, best library performance, excellent library performance, best reader award, best graphic novel designer, best storyteller, whatever you want to give. But please give some kind of reward to the child. That is very, very important. आप कागज से ही बनाकर एक बैच दे दो. आपको बनाकर पैसे खर्च करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. आप कागज से ही बनाकर दे दे, लेकिन आप दे बच्चे को जरूर कुछ. Okay, now I'll request, since I have Rama ma'am beside me, so I'll take the pleasure to request Rama ma'am to add on a few points, please.
Like whatever you have shared, that's great. And I have already told about gifting a book to the library. So if your school is having a bare 1,000 children, so in a year your library will be richer by 1,000 more books. And what we do, actually, we bring out a list of the books which are desired for the library. So if a child is bringing one book, we put a tick against that book that this book has already been donated. So you can donate the next book or the next to next book. So this is one way of making your library richer by getting more books. This is one thing. Whatever ma'am has already told, that is forming a story by the children, that's very good. Presentation, yes, the read program is there in most of the schools, once in a week or once in a month, whatever it is. But after finishing a book, if the children can demonstrate, if they present the very story, that will be more vibrant, and that will be learned by, and that will be known by all the other students. They can present it even in the assembly.
Very good.
So that can be a very, very vibrant activity which will encourage reading more and more. And just now she was talking about digital library. Digital libraries are very popular nowadays. I know in my mother tongue, in Bengali, there are several digital libraries. The great options are there. If a reader tells that I want this book, I need this book, suppose उनके पास ये book नहीं है, जैसे वो बोलते हैं वो डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी में ये बुक चाहिए, या कोई एक टॉपिक के ऊपर व्हाट आर द बेस्ट बुक्स ऑन दिस टॉपिक, so everybody, maybe 365 comments come from different corners that these are the good books and here they are available. If that is not available with that particular reader, if the other readers are there in the library, they also contribute, they share their digital content over there. So in that way, the digital libraries can be the best options because there is no boundary over there. तो आपके पास ना हो, आपके स्टेट में नहीं हो, फिजिकल रिसोर्सेज ना हो, लेकिन यू कैन अवेल द डिजिटल रिसोर्सेज of so many libraries. Library actually if you have the access to a good library, that can be the best friend available. आपके पास कोई ना हो, अगर good books है, enough for a lifetime to spend with good friends. So a library is the best friend, and
True.
she has taken a very, very nice session, and we all have enjoyed.
Thank you. One more thing I wanted to add on to it. You can also have the concept of book of the month.
Yes, yes.
Now, you have 12 months in a year,
Mhm.
out of which, 2 you leave. You have long vacations and all this. 10 months, mota mota is working in the year. It's academic session. If you introduce one book every month, you imagine children will at least know about 10 books in a year. That's not less. At least they will know the publisher, they will know the story, major summary of the story, they will know the main characters, they will know about the author. I think that is huge amount of learning. Even if they don't read the book line by line, they know about 10 good books. And of course, very important thing is teach the children the nomenclature of library books. I mean, what is the meaning of ISBN number? What is the meaning of author? What is the meaning of the barcode? What is the meaning of where is the cost written? Where is the publishing written? Where is the version written? Etc. 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 These things should also be told to them, because when they will grow up and they'll pick up a good book from a good library which is not of the school, then these things matter a lot. And most importantly is every school is not blessed to have a good library. That is actually the fact. So until and unless your school has great appropriate books in the library, all these sessions will be very, very useless. You have to help your school get some good books, but that cannot be done only by purchasing. Ma'am has suggested you such beautiful ways where you can enrich your library through the children themselves. Even for the class library, suppose you don't get books from the library, tell the children to bring books. Every child brings a book, or maybe 10 children bring a book, and when they take a book, they give a book. That is also very, very, very common. So this can also be utilized so that children develop the knack of reading. When you exchange gifts with each other, when you're giving certificates to children, you're giving a medal. I agree the medal stays there for the lifetime. But instead of giving a medal, can we give a small book to the child? Can we develop this culture in the school that we are pro books? We are pro books. When something happens in the school, I give a book. When there's a gift to be given, I give a book. So you can do these little things so that children fall in love with this world of books. It is very, very important. Once you're able to create that love, I think the love for reading will develop. As I always say, it's my favorite line. Everybody knows, love me, love my subject. So who is the me here? The me is the book here. Once the children start loving books, they will love everything related to books. And I'm sure to say here that the love for library books will reach to the love for course books also. Because they will start loving reading. So they will read this, they will read that, they will read this also. And I think many, many problems will be sorted out. So thank you. With the final quote, I would like to end here that the library should be the heart of the school. And the teacher librarian plays an integral part in what we do in education. लाइब्रेरी की एक अलग एजेंडा चलती है, उसको बंद करिए. लाइब्रेरी को कोर्स करिकुलम के साथ इंटीग्रेट करिए और वो टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस लाइब्रेरी में भी चले. How many of us know who is the father of library? Do we know? We don't. हमारी अवेयरनेस लेवल कितनी कम है. तो ये सारा लाइब्रेरी मंथ सेलिब्रेट कीजिए, लाइब्रेरी वीक सेलिब्रेट कीजिए, लाइब्रेरी पे असेंबलीज कीजिए, रीडर्स को फेलिसिटेट करिए, अच्छे लाइब्रेरी वाले बच्चों को सामने असेंबली में बुलाकर क्लैपिंग कराइए. And all these things will gradually add on. You develop a students corner in the library, जिसमें सारी स्टूडेंट्स की चीजें रहेंगी, जैसे स्टूडेंट्स की लिखी हुई पोएम्स, स्टूडेंट्स की बनाई हुई मैगजीन्स, स्टूडेंट्स की बनाई लिखी हुई स्टोरीज, स्टूडेंट्स की बनाई हुई ग्राफिक नॉवेल्स, वो स्टूडेंट कॉर्नर. अगर आप वो डेवलप कर सकते हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. और एक चीज जो मैं पर्सनली फील करती हूँ, विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, लाइब्रेरी शुड हैव एन आई अपील्स. मैं बहुत सारे स्कूल्स के लाइब्रेरी को जाती हूँ, विजिट करती हूँ, देखती हूँ. लाइब्रेरी में घुसते ही ऐसा लगता है जैसे वो एक अलमारी से भरा हुआ रूम है. किसे अच्छा लगता है चारों तरफ अलमारियों के बीच में बैठना? किसी को नहीं अच्छा लगता है. So that That visual appeal should be there. Make your library aesthetically beautiful also, so the children would love to go and spend some time out there. Anything, ma'am? So I think that was all that we had to share. A big thank you from my side and Amma ma'am's side. And now I think I'll show you the thank you slide also. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope there were some takeaways. Now over to you all for some questions if you have, and we will try to answer.
Yes, participants, please ask your doubts. Any questions?
If you have any doubts, anything you want to ask, you are free to ask. We will try to answer your queries. Make your library a lively, active, enthusiastic place. Please don't make it a dead coffin where there's only silence. Silence कहाँ होता है? Where there's no life. और हमारे स्कूल में ऐसा कोई जगह क्यों हो जहाँ कोई लाइफ नहीं है? उस कॉन्सेप्ट से बाहर आइए. Make your library a very bubbly, chirpy, energetic, enthusiastic place where children are doing work, activities, learning. True learning is happening. I think you all, none of us would want a dead coffin in the school. So don't make a library that kind of a place, please.
No, I have a question.
Yes, please.
How to train the librarian for the school? That is,
How to create a librarian?
no, train.
Send them to me. Rama ma'am.
I want to multiplicate it.
Okay, jokes apart.
Sending
Jokes
everyone to
apart,
you
sir.
not serve the purpose.
That
Yes.
is what we were trying to do actually throughout today 1 hour. I think, sir, you know what I have done is I have given the copy of the library manual to my librarian. And first of all, I have given some time to the librarian to go through it. And then, you know what, so many activities I've told you, sir. Now you as a principal decide that these 2 activities we'll do for the next 2 months. Let her start or let him start with 1 or 2 activities and then go ahead gradually. Because so many activities together may disrupt the working of the librarian. So you can pick up a few activities and start with it. And gradually the librarian will understand how to go about.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if you are selecting the book of the month for a particular grade, you can also motivate the librarian to select some good digital content and keep it there in the library so that it can be shown even.
And the thing that you said about this report writing now. So the next problem comes up is a librarian is normally a librarian. It's a non-technical person. That's in that sense. You understand what I mean? Means suppose a student is reading a science book or a mathematics book or maybe some fiction, and he or she is writing report over it. So how to scale the report? Will the report will go to the concerned teacher?
No, sir,
The
there is no
teacher.
need of scaling. There is no need of scaling. Let
That's
us
it.
keep some things very simple. Our purpose is that the child should read the book and prepare a report. I told you, let there be grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, no problem. We appreciate everybody's work. Because now we have to set the ball rolling. So if we make so many conditions and terms or sahi likho, ye mat likho, wo likho, to bacche likhenge hi nahi. Let them start writing. That is very, very important.
So लेकिन फिर पढ़ने का पर्पस थोड़ा उसका जैसे
कोई बात नहीं सर, ऐसे ही तो
बच्चा जो
पढ़ेगा वो, धीरे धीरे पढ़ेगा सर. पहले नहीं समझ में आएगा, कुछ भी उल्टा सीधा लिखेगा. पहले तो बच्चे पीछे से ही छाप देते हैं. बहुत सारे बुक्स में ना पीछे समरी दिया हुआ रहता है, उसी को छाप देते हैं. चलो उतना पेन तो लिया ना उसने, उतना तो लिखा ना उसने. Let's start with that. You know, you have to first keep your expectation level very less and gradually you have to increase. Now once the librarian is able to understand कि बच्चे ने पीछे से छाप दिया है, फिर वो बच्चे को समझाएंगे, काउंसिल करेगा, फिर वो बच्चा धीरे धीरे लिखेगा. कि और बुक रिव्यू को भी सर, आई थिंक द बुक रिव्यू ऑल्सो, यू नो, देयर आर मेनी फॉर्मेट्स ऑफ बुक रिव्यू इन द गूगल. So with the help of the principal, you can modify it. You can make it very simple. Maybe you can write name of 5 characters in that book, your favorite character, draw the character, something like this.
some template
Just
of review
you
product.
tell about
हाँ.
reading activities ना, skimming. पहले skim तो
Yes.
करने दीजिए.
So I had discussed one reading, how to read. So in that we had done skimming, scanning, extensive reading, intensive reading. So पहले वो reading habits develop होंगे, उसके बाद बच्चा read करेगा, उसके बाद बच्चा अच्छा होगा. हमारा पर्पस क्या है कि बच्चे के अंदर रीडिंग हैबिट्स को डेवलप करें, रिसर्च वर्क करने की प्रवृत्ति डेवलप करें. यही हमारा पर्पस.
Yeah. So very nice session.
थैंक यू.
Both the resource persons have made this training, and I think
It was truly fun to share the screen with Rama ma'am. I
yes.
truly enjoyed every bit of it.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Simple one, you are here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening,
evening.
Mitali ma'am,
Evening.
Rama ma'am.
We cannot see you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Now I think I am visible, na?
Yes.
Hmm.
So we are now at culmination point, and I request all the participants to mark your attendance feedback by 6:15 positively.
Okay.
And thank you so much. Today also I found many of the participants getting connected as
अच्छा,
and
ये तो
when,
छोड़.
yeah, for a long time. So please join on time.
आजकल ना ऑडियो बुक भी अवेलेबल है, इतना कुछ
Thank
अच्छा
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much. Thank you, Simple
Thank
ma'am,
you.
sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Bye
much, ma'am.
bye. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, all the participants. Now you can leave.